What's up, Taiwan? I'm Liao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A military equipment supplier has been charged with using fabric from China to make bulletproof vests for Taiwan's military and then trying to pass it off as Taiwan-made. Joyce Tseng has more.
The last line of defense. In most modern-day armed forces, bulletproof vests are one of the most important pieces of equipment for individual soldiers. And the standards for companies supplying Taiwan's troops with their protective gear is extremely high. But one subcontractor may have severely compromised these regulations. Military equipment supplier Renwu has been charged with using fabrics from China to make the bulletproof vests for Taiwan's army and police.
掩饰未实质生产制造抗弹纤维布的事实，而将中国制的抗弹纤维布成品出货于军备具205厂，以此手法从中获得超过新台币6700万元的不法利益。
In 2018, the company won a bid to supply Taiwan's Armaments Bureau with 450,000 meters of anti-stretch bulletproof cloth. But they've been accused of swapping out labels on China-made fabrics and passed the shipment off as its own Taiwan-made product. Any use of Chinese products in Taiwan's military and government systems, from fabrics to communication equipment, is banned for security reasons.
大陆货来冲刺，那这样的话会不会造成国安的问题？我认为都有疑虑。还有这个是个防弹背心，如果是电子产品呢？是个通讯装备呢？
Last year, a Taiwanese subcontractor was found to have used missile parts from China, which also set off national security alarms. As for Renwu, prosecutors say the head of the company confessed when confronted with the evidence. He's now been released on a $16,000 bail, but investigations are ongoing to find out how much of the company's materials have been used by Taiwan's armed forces. Scott Huang and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's largest ever military exercises are less than a month away. And for the first time, they'll include the simulated defense of the country's largest airport. Jaime Okan explains.
Taiwan is getting ready for its largest annual military drills, the Hangguang exercises. For 5 days in late July, the country will practice defending against an all-out invasion from China. And for the first time, the military will rehearse repelling an attack on Taiwan's largest airport, Taoyuan International. The Transport and Defense Ministries are already working together to minimize any disruptions, though dozens of flights will be affected.
1小时的汉光演习里面会发飞航的通告让一些飞机就不要在演习的范围内来这个跟这个演习发生这个冲突。9点到11点，那航班现在整个因为在调配了。
This anti-takeover drill will be one of the main operations of July's war games, involving both Air Force and Special Forces. It's part of a push by the military to step up security of key infrastructure like ports and air bases. But analysts say that Taoyuan Airport is important for another reason.
If Taiwan Airport is lost, okay, there are highways that link directly from the airport to the Taipei city. That allows the enemy to quickly get into city and achieve the decapitation strike, trying to capture Taiwan's leadership.
Taiwan has conducted similar anti-invasion drills in the past. Troops take on the role of Chinese soldiers by dressing up in red helmets and gear and dropping from helicopters or airplanes. But now the military has the opportunity to practice in one of the most likely combat sites.
It is such a luxury to be able to exercise in the location, in the same location that you are going to fight. So because by doing so, you can understand the various terrain, advantage locations, disadvantage locations.
Other than getting its troops ready to fight, Taiwan has also been investing in air defense weapons, like the American-made Stinger missile and the Avenger anti-air system. Weapons that could protect the airport by stopping enemy troops from landing there at all.
Those type of systems that can get the enemies over water before they can even get close to Taiwan. I think it's critical. They are mobile, they are survivable, they can be hidden. These are the systems that Taiwan need to have in order to defend the Taoyuan airport.
With less than a month until the drills kick off, Taiwan's military is hoping to make the most of this special opportunity, not only to train troops on how to defend its largest airport, but also to stop an invasion before it can reach the site in the first place. Andy Xue and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
The Prime Minister of New Zealand has discussed Taiwan while on a trip to Beijing. Chris Hipkins is on his first trip to China since taking office in January. On Tuesday, he met Chinese President Xi Jinping, who called New Zealand a friend. Then on Wednesday, he spoke with Chinese Premier Li Qiang about tensions in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea. The two countries signed agreements on trade and agriculture. Hipkins wants to boost economic ties with China and recently refused to join U.S. President Joe Biden in labeling Xi a dictator. Police in Thailand have arrested a Taiwanese couple accused of scamming people out of almost $130 million US. The husband and wife fled Taiwan in 2001 after allegedly soliciting investments for a company that did not exist. Police say over 4,000 people fell for the scam. The couple were placed on Taiwan's most wanted list in 2002. They changed their names and entered Thailand in 2018 on Belizean passports. The pair were taken into custody last week. After 2 police officers were killed by a man on prison release, Taiwan is trialing the use of GPS watches to track its inmates. But activists say that violates human rights. Bing Wong has more.
This watch has a built-in GPS system. It's being used by Taiwan's correctional agency to track the movements of prisoners. These are specifically for inmates allowed to work outside during the daytime and must return to the prison at night. It's a policy called work release. Government statistics say over the past 10 years, 49 people did not return to prison after work, including 4 people this year. Just last August, Lin Xingwu, out on work release, killed 2 policemen in the southern city of Tainan. This led the correction agency to tighten up the rules.
有3个适用对象。那第一个是我们日间外出到厂商工作的自主监外作业。那第二个是我们外出返家探视的受刑人。那第三个是外役跟监外作业的收容人。
But activists are calling this a violation of human rights.
不应该用这种所谓的电子的设备来违反说整个外役监设立的原则之外，我觉得这也很违反人权呐。那是不是我们干脆走回头路，就是全部废掉外役监这样子的一个制度
But activist voices could be left unheard. More than 400 prison inmates will now wear the watch on work release. And after a trial of 1 year, the technology could expand to all prisons in Taiwan. Patrick Chen and Bing Wong for TaiwanPlus.
It's just over 6 months till Taiwan's presidential election, and the main party's campaign strategies are starting to take shape. As new battle lines are drawn, Jan Van Triest gives us the latest.
Cheering on their candidate, members of Ho Youyi's campaign team chant in unison. As next year's election nears, this presidential candidate's team is growing. Among the newest recruits is King Butong, a former envoy to the U.S. King comes with a reputation as a unifier in Ho's party, the Kuomintang or KMT. The campaign hopes to heal rifts with rival KMT factions over Ho's nomination.
执行长负责选举的方向、策略、规划、执行，并统合所有的战力，也是带着这个团队往前走最重要的一个步骤跟方向。
The full list of Ho's campaign staff is set to come out Saturday. But it's not just the country's top office that's up for grabs. On Wednesday, DPP presidential candidate Lai Ching-te announced more picks for the legislature. They include an independent.
民进党仍然秉持跨党派、跨世代、跨领域的原则，推动第4波的民主大联盟的征召工作。今天所征召的4个候选人，都是一时之选，表现也都非常杰出。
And as he prays to become his party's first president, Taiwan People's Party candidate Ko Wen-je announces his first wave of legislative picks. He says key battlegrounds are starting to take shape.
中彰投不是只有1区要选立委嘛？这涉及到整个中彰投的全盘战局，要怎么做的还有谁要那个，我们还要再详细的规划。
For all the candidates, making picks is a balancing act between pleasing the party and winning over voters in the race to Taiwan's top job. James Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S.'s largest memory chip maker, Micron, says its revenue dropped more than 50% from the same quarter last year, but it still managed to beat market estimates. The company's chips have been banned in China's markets after it failed a Beijing security probe earlier this year. Sales to China accounted for about a quarter of the company's total, but the drop has not dampened the tech giant's optimism. Its shares have continued to rise, largely thanks to the role its products play in emerging AI technology. The U.S. Coast Guard has found what it says could be human remains among debris from the Titan submersible. Wreckage from the sub was brought ashore in Canada on Wednesday. The vessel was on a deep dive to the century-old wreckage of the Titanic on June 18th when it lost contact with its mother ship. A multi-day search to find it captured global headlines. In the end, investigators concluded that the Titan imploded underwater, killing all 5 people on board. U.S. medical professionals will now analyze the newly found remains. Canada is experiencing its worst wildfire season on record. Hundreds of fires are raging across the country. The resulting smoke has blown across North America and reached Europe. Many U.S. and Canadian cities have had to issue air quality alerts. Canadian officials say the size of the fires is unusual this early in the year. Political leaders and environmental experts are linking them to rising temperatures caused by climate change. Firefighters are now working to put out the blazes. Taiwan is known for being a foodie's paradise, and this week a new award was announced to celebrate the country's cheaper dining options. I took a deeper look at what it's all about. Ask anyone. Taiwan's got food, lots of it. From Michelin-starred fine dining restaurants to humble food stalls, well, Taiwan's got it all. And while much of the time it's the fancy eateries that get all of the attention, you don't want to miss out on some of the smaller establishments in the country. That's the thinking behind the very first 500 Bowls Food Awards. Really good food. The 500 Bowls Food Awards is a celebration of this, with the added caveat of affordability. It highlights Taiwan's 小吃 or snacks, smaller dishes that are both delicious and cheap.
在台湾的美食地图上，新增加了一块领域里面的指标。除了餐厅里面的盘餐之外，我们增加了小吃这个领域的指标。
If that concept sounds familiar, then you might be thinking about the Michelin Bib Gourmand, which evaluates a country's restaurants based on value. That's why the 500 Bowls is colloquially referred to as Taiwan's Bib Gourmand. Here's how it works. 50 judges, made up of chefs, writers, athletes, YouTubers, and more, list their 10 favorite cheap eateries. Every nomination a restaurant gets represents one bowl. 50 judges naming 10 eateries each is how you get the titular 500 Bowls. But because of overlap, there aren't actually 500 restaurants on the list, just 441. Over 40 of the restaurants were put forward by more than one judge, but one place managed to dominate the awards.
恭喜今年最多碗的得主7碗得主全控肉饭在彰化。
A food stall in central Taiwan's Changhua City earned 7 bowls thanks to its signature dish, soy sauce braised pork over rice. It's deceptively simple, but popular for a reason. Food selection in Taiwan is vast, and that's why 500 bowls may be necessary to do the country's food scene justice. But since several judges decided to give their bowls to the same restaurants, it's clear there are still favorites. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of a life-sized Barbie dream house in Malibu, California. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.